During a karaoke night at the Knob, aka a restaurant slash bar called North of the Border, I sang a total of 5 karaoke songs, which were in order: Better Now by Post Malone, Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow, Black Sun by Def Cab for Cutie, Surfin' USA by the Beach Boys, and finally, Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. The songs I sang tonight were the result of an intention to continue singing songs that I've sung before but hadn't sung in a while, or at least hadn't sung much recently. And I determined this by looking through my quick memos, which are mostly records of these songs that I've sung in previous karaoke nights. At most a few dozen. And during my time at the Knob, with my mom, I had first a glass of water, iced, and then I had a cocktail known as a fuzzy navel, with ice, which is essentially orange juice with peach snobs. In between songs, I had a garbage plate that consisted of 2 cheeseburgers, mac salad and onion rings with all the fixins. Some kind of meat hot sauce and some onions. Though at the knob they call it a knob plate. And then after I finish that knob plate, I worked on the second echidna polystring drawing. Doing a combination of drawing and / painting. With Sharpie markers on it, though I believe what I do on polystyrene is more drawing than painting. I used an online image color picker right before we left for the knob, and we're there roughly from six to 10 p.m. Using that color picker. I use it in image. I was able to determine that Akina's mouth is dark green. Roughly from 2 to 3 p.m. I walked to Wegmans to return a white plastic garbage bag full of containers with deposits on them. I primarily did this to get some exercise. Hence why I only brought back one bag. Ultimately getting back $1.55. These days, it's been cool, overcast, windy at times. In fact, the wind caught a pink piece of tissue paper while we were entering the knob. And if anything, more likely to rain rather than snow. Since despite it being the coldest month of the year, for us, at times the temperature has been more like a high in the high to low 30s than the coldest it could be, which is around 0 degrees Fahrenheit. When I walked to Wegmans, I did so in just a t-shirt. I.e., I didn't wear a coat since at the time the temperature was a high 30. It ended up being a little cold, but I managed to make the walk to and back from Wegmans just fine. The cutoff point, at least for me, is probably somewhere in the 30s. Like if it's a low 30 day, we'll probably wear a coat though. Maybe it was that temperature if you factor in the wind chill. It was a bit windy at times. But thankfully I didn't lose any containers, which mostly consisted of plastic bottles with some aluminum cans and glass bottles. around 1 p.m., I had what was left of the pasta Mom made some days ago while I was still at Dad's place. For lunch, essentially. With a glass of milk and a couple mild cheddar cheese sticks. And before I had the leftover pasta and cheese sticks, or right afterwards, I had some big chocolate wafers that were part of what I got while trick-or-treating. The bag's currently in what is currently the spare room for us. Here's where I am currently on Elvenar. I'd like to be able to put these two ancient wonders in, but after I fill in the rune circles eventually, I'll need to somehow make the space for them, or get the space for them.